All right, so I will call to order the zoning hearing board meeting for February 28th, 2023. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, we will move on to solicitor announcements.
Good evening, everyone. Our first announcement is a continuance. Application 1-5 of 23 for 32 Kent Road will be scheduled for the zoning hearing board's meeting on March 28th, 2023 at 7 p.m. So if you're here for 32 Kent Road, that hearing will not be taking place tonight. Secondly, we go through some meeting procedures. I know we have a larger crowd than usual this evening, so welcome everybody. If this is your first time at the zoning hearing board, give you some idea of how we operate and how you can participate in this evening's proceedings. There are two ways to participate in each application. The first is called public comment. At the end of every application presentation before the board takes its vote, we will ask and give the opportunity for public comment. And that's an opportunity for any member of the public to come forward and give a statement, either in support or in opposition, or anything about your opinion of whether the board should grant the requested relief for that application. The other way to participate is called party status. Party status is reserved for individuals who have a particular interest in the application. Say you live close by, you have an interest in the property. We will request people who are interested in party status at the beginning of each application, and we'll ask you some questions to see if you qualify. If you do qualify, you will be able to present testimony of your own, present any exhibits, ask questions of any of the witnesses or the applicant. It will entitle you to a copy of the decision, and you will have the ability to appeal any decision of the board if you don't agree with it to the Court of Common Pleas. If you intend on requesting party status for any of the applications tonight, there are forms up on the table by the door called party status request forms. We'd ask that you fill that out and give us as much information as possible so that we both have your name for the record, but also a way to contact you so that if the hearing tonight is continued or we can send you a copy of the decision, we have a way to reach out to you. And I believe that's it for me.
So we go on to our hearings for the night. The first hearing is Appeal 2-1 of 23, application of Irma Estrella for a variance from Section 550-15D, Table 4-2, to permit building coverage of 40% where the maximum of 30% is permitted. The property is situated at 330 Bayard Road in Upper Darby, PA. It's in the R3 Residential District and in the 5th Council District.
Mrs. Estrella, you can come forward, and while you come forward, we'll mark exhibits for the board. ZHB1 will be the application packet. ZHB2 will be the notice photos, and ZHB3 will be the proof of publication. Hello.
Hi.
Good evening.
So are you both going to participate, or are you up here to
I'm
assist?
helping my aunt.
Okay.
So she's the property owner.
We're going to have you both sworn in
Okay.
by the court reporter, and then we'll begin.
Yes.
I do.
Agnes Lapson, Lacson.
Irma Estrella, IRMA. Estrella, ESTRELLA.
Okay, so if you want to present us with any information that you have regarding your appeal request.
Yeah, so we are trying to expand the, I believe it's only extend the roof, which is damaging her window, because it's only, the coverage is only
Up to the front door.
60% the front door, and the other window, which is when it's heavy rain, it gets wet and goes inside the house.
So this is a roof over the front porch?
Over the,
Yes.
yes,
Okay.
correct.
And can you explain like what the porch structure is, or is it pitching towards the front of the front yard or the side yard, or
It's,
just give us a
so
little design
the,
details?
the front, where
Front of the
the,
house where the patio is.
yeah, go ahead,
Okay, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
It's the front of the house and the extension that we want to have is going to not really the side of the house, but to complete the front of the house coverage.
Okay. And then where will the water, I guess, pitch towards the side of the house or the front, or,
It's on the front of the house.
okay. And then underneath of the roof is existing patio area?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And also we have some cats that's staying there.
I'm sorry,
And-
I didn't catch that.
Okay. There's some animals that goes in there that ruins my little garden inside. And eat the food also.
Additional, so it's really not going to bother anyone because, so she's at the corner and far from where the, the people who's walk, from the sidewalk.
Okay,
And there's already a little fence in the patio when we bought the house. So
Okay.
all we have to do is extend the roof.
and then
It's
put some
not
pillars
yes,
down.
just to make it level to the.
Okay. Does anyone else? Bob?
I think what she was trying to find out is the expected roof that you're going to apply. Is it a flat roof? Is it a angular roof?
Flat,
It's flat roof.
flat
Okay.
roof, and I believe it's shingles. We're putting on, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm assuming, because there's an existing roof on kind of the area that comes to the front door, is it going to kind of match that?
Okay, I believe we have to completely, because it's already rotten.
Rotten.
Okay,
Because the squirrel is already living inside.
Inside.
So that's why we really, either or we have to take it, like rip it off and put a new one.
okay,
And the reason why we're requesting, so that way when we put it, since we already is spending the money, so why not putting the coverage for the entire area? So the window, which is always affected from the rain, is gonna be
Covered.
protected.
okay. Will you have downspouts that direct the water?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions?
Forgot one. Is there anybody here tonight with, who was interested in requesting party status for this application? Okay, seeing none.
Right. Is there any public comment for this application? Anybody want to speak up for or against? Okay, hearing none, I will make a motion to approve Appeal 2-1 of 23. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. 3-0, motion passes.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much.
We'll receive a written decision within 45 days.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move on to the second hearing for the night, 2-2 of 23, application of Roberto Medina for a variance from section 550-8A, table 3-1, to allow a duplex in an R2 residential district. The property is situated at 3711 Bonsall Avenue in Drexel Hill, PA, which is in the R2 residential district and in the 3rd council district.
The board will enter the following exhibits. ZHB1 will be the application packet, ZHB2 will be the notice photos, and ZHB3 will be the proof of publication. Is there anyone here tonight who is interested in party status for 3711 Bonsall Avenue?
Yes, sir. There are 3 people here who are interested in party status, and I have the forms filled out for those three folks.
Okay,
that made
if
it.
you don't mind passing them up. And while this gentleman's, you can come, my colleague will grab them from you. Sir, I see the applicant has counsel. Can you just introduce yourself
If I
for the
may,
record?
My name is Andrew Donaghy. My ID number is 42289. I'm here on behalf of Mr. Medina, and I presented the court.
All right. As long as actually, I will take that. Yes. You can approach. So, sir, are you one of the people, or are you representing?
I am a neighbor.
Okay.
I am a neighbor, a protestant, and one of the people requesting party status. My name is Michael J. McCaney, M-C, capital C-A-N-E-Y, Jr. I live at 3729 Bonsall Avenue. I am a protestant and a neighbor. I'm also an attorney, but I am not acting in a representative capacity.
Okay. And so you're at 3729. Approximately how close is that to
There's one home
3711?
between my home and 3711. With me are neighbors.
Okay, I'm just gonna do them one at a time.
Okay.
So on behalf of Michael, and I guess Vicky is your
My beloved
spouse? Okay, McCaney of 3729. Due to the proximity, I would recommend that the board recognize party status.
I would agree with that.
Okay, so we'll do the next one. It's Stephen and Peggy Rhodes. Are you present? Mind just coming forward, one of you?
Stephen, S-T-E-V-E-N, Rhodes, R-H-O-A-D-E-S.
And your address is 3704 Bonsall?
It is, sir.
And I'm going to ask you the same question, the proximity to 3711?
Basically directly across the street.
Okay. Mr. Donaghy, do you have any objection to Mr. McCaney's recognition, or Mr. Rhodes and Mrs. Rhodes? I apologize.
No.
Okay. I would recommend we recognize the Rhodes family as for
I also
party
agree.
status.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rhodes. And then Mr. Smith, sorry. I gambled on that one and got it wrong. But it is S-M-Y-T-H.
M-Y-T-H, correct.
And you are Joseph M. Smith at 3726 Bonsall?
That's correct, yes.
And your proximity to
Catty
3711?
corner across the street.
I'm sorry?
Catty corner across the street.
Okay. Mr. Donaghy, any objection?
No, we do not have any objection. Thank you.
I would recommend party status for Mr. Smith.
I would also agree with that.
Okay, you can take a seat, Mr. Smith, thank you. Mr. McCaney, Mr. and Mrs. Rhodes, and Mr. Smith, we will call upon you at the appropriate times to present any evidence or ask any questions, okay? I'll let Mr. Donaghy proceed with your
Thank
case in
you.
chief.
If I may, to the board, I'd like to be direct and certainly with the protestants. Mr. Medina, as we've indicated in the application, he just purchased this property in June of 2022, okay? The property is in the R2 district. The property contains 14,080 square feet. The minimum property size for the R2 is 5,000 square feet, so it's a large property. When Mr. Medina purchased the property, he found a unit, a home that had 2 floors and an attic. The first floor was a self-contained unit. It had a front door, full kitchen, bathroom. The second floor, okay, was accessed through the side door, okay, an independent side door with stairs to the second floor. On that second floor, it had a full bath and a full kitchen. So when Mr. Medina purchased this property, he thought he was purchasing a duplex, okay? He did not have me involved, so he thought he was purchasing a duplex. With all respect to the board here, I know you have a busy night. I respect the neighbors being here. It may be helpful if I seek an adjournment to have some discussions with Mr. McCaney to get some stipulated facts to matters, because today, for example, I was at the Register of Wills in media, And the person that owned this property between 2005 to 2020 was a gentleman named William James Lewis, him and his wife Amy. Her first name was Amy, Any. They owned this property for approximately, I don't want to misspeak, they owned this property from 1988 to 2020, okay? The Register of Wills file is at Fair Acres, but I was able to determine that Schedule A to that return had him owning over 7 pieces of real estate in Delaware County, this being one of them. I was able to determine that his residence on the date of death was Marshall Road, where his father resided. That deed was recorded in 2005. So factually, they have a lot of information that I'm guessing at, okay? And I don't want to mistake anything, so I may move. My client has authorized me to move for a continuance tonight, so I don't want to make these people come back again, but I'm just trying to be direct. There's a lot of information. I'd like to get some additional information from the Register of Wills, too.
So, Mr. Donaghy, I guess the first question, are you asking for us to recess and take some other applications while you go into the hall and discuss with
No, I'd
the
like
other
to get-
parties?
I'd like to request a continuance because part of this application may be for a non-conforming use. I don't know. In my application, I asked the towns, in the application, it was requested that the township and the Department of License and Inspections review its records and determine if prior notice or authority of a duplex at this location exists.
Understood, that's included in your application, just as
Yes.
an advisory, the zoning hearing board has no access or authority
that.
over those files, and that would have to be done through any number of other processes through the township. We'll just hold on a second.
All right, thank you.
So I guess I would request confirmation from all the other parties that they would agree to that continuance since they are here tonight.
I understand. Thank you.
It's rather, it's an inconvenience for me. I'm a school bus driver. I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning, take the kids to school. So it's difficult for me to be here. Stephen Rhodes.
Okay, so, I mean, it doesn't sound like the parties are interested in the continuance. So I would suggest that you put on your case as of right now.
Okay.
And if there's something else that needs to be discussed at a later date, we could always decide at that time. But I would present all the information you
Okay.
had ready for tonight,
Thank
and
you.
we'll look at it that way.
All right, thank you all. Also.
I was just going to ask, do you want to proceed, or do you want us to take the next one and come back to you?
I'll
you
just
can have a-
proceed
okay.
because,
Go ahead.
okay, thank you. So again, I don't want to, Mr. Medina purchased 3711 on June 27, 2022. Okay, it's in the R2 district. The deed, which is attached to the application, establishes its meets and bounds. It totals 14,080 square feet, okay? I do have an additional exhibit I would like to attach that confirms this representation. I have marked this as applicant 1, okay? This is just a Delaware County tax assessment records, okay? And this just indicates, again, the size of the real estate at 14,080 square feet, okay? You can approach. All right. And then it also identifies the prior deed owners, okay, on that document. So the property in the tax assessment office, again, identifies it now as 3,235 square feet. As I've indicated, and my client will confirm through testimony or affirmance of my representation, the first floor consists of a full bath and a full kitchen and bedrooms. The second floor consists of a full bath and a kitchen and bedrooms. The access to the second floor is only through an exterior door, There's no access to the second floor in the interior. There are 2 electric meters at the property. There's 2 gas meters at the property, okay? Mail is delivered to both the front and to the side door. The picture's depicted on Zillow, and my client can answer any questions. If you looked at the bathroom and the kitchen, the type of tile, the type of things in the property, you could see that that existed in this condition for some time, okay? My client started renovations at this property to both units, and that's when Mr. Chase, if I'm pronouncing that correctly? Chast, okay, when Mr. Chast had stopped by a second time, we received an enforcement letter, and that's why this application was sent, okay? My client had started to renovate the property, thinking that it was a 2-unit facility, okay? My application tonight seeks, relief under your variance action. As I indicated in my client's application, he was thinking about and also questioning about a non-conforming use here because the property appears to have been a duplex for some time, all right? The tax records show that the deed from June 27th, 22 is to Mr. Medina. From August 4th of 1920 to June 27th, 2022, it was to a Monica Ruiz Tapia, if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. She owned the property for less than 2 years. Her deed came from William James Lewis, okay, and his wife, Amy. They owned the property from 1988 to 2020. The Register of Wills in Delaware County indicates that Amy Lewis died on August 14th, 2009. Her husband, William James Lewis, died on March 11th, 2011, which is 9 years before the sale of this property. I do have a second exhibit for the board, which would be the obituary from Mr. Lewis. Lewis, I'm sorry, thank you, ma'am. Mr. Lewis, this is an obituary, if I may approach. And this shows them owning the property from 1988 to 2020. Again, that property was transferred by his estate. The Register of Wills, on the paperwork that they had today, indicated that when he passed away in 2011, his place of residence was on Marshall Road in Delaware County. My next exhibit would be a copy of the deed for 3438 Marshall Road in Drexelville. And it's a deed from Mr. Lewis's father to Mr. Lewis, okay? And on the second page of the deed is verification by William James Lewis that he was residing on Marshall Road at that time, which again would have been in 2005. I present all this information just to indicate what the pictures indicate and what the 2 utilities at the property indicate is that this property is acted as a duplex, I believe, but you're going to hear a lot more from the neighbors, okay? I believe for some amount of time, okay? The Register of Wills on Schedule A, and I can't get access to these exhibits because they're at Fair Acres, but they indicated that he owned over 7 pieces of real estate at the time of his death. In regards to the standards for a variance, okay, this property has functioned for a duplex for, I believe, at least 15 to 20 years. It's almost 1/3 of an acre. The property is more than adequate for the requested purpose. My client has not created the hardship. We're not looking to alter the essential character of the neighborhood or impair any adjacent properties. We note that there's a triplex at 528 Mason, which is approximately 200, 300 feet. They'll correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not far away. Mason, it's on the other side of the street. That's operated as a triplex. This is the least modification of a use possible. We're not expanding anything. We're just updating the inside. Again, there's people here in protest, so my comments about public interest will certainly be challenged. But it's, we're looking to make it a duplex, to make it, affordable housing. The proposed change will not impact fire safety or overcrowding because it's appeared to have been a duplex for a great amount of time, and I would submit that the use is appropriate. The last thing I would ask Mr. Medina to do is just to confirm that I'll mark this as A4. I do not have copies, but this is a photograph taken that depicts the 2 electric meters at the property, okay? And the other question that we had, Mr. Medina presented this to me. This is A5. It's a resale certification entry form. He received this from the township, and there's some type of representation on that. I don't know if it's accurate. I don't know if this is bookkeeping, but the term duplex detached is on that document. I don't know what it means, but he was presented with this document from the township person. I don't have copies of them, but I'm letting Mr. McKinney take a look at those. So that is my opening and my direct. I have Mr. Medina here, okay? And
If you're opening and you're direct,
well, it's my opening and my presentation to you. I was going to ask that he be sworn in, and then I could ask him to affirm my.
Sure. We can do an offer of proof if you want to swear in Mr. Medina, if you don't mind.
Yes. Roberto Medina.
Medina, good evening.
Good evening.
You heard my representation to the zoning board tonight?
Yes.
Okay, and to your neighbors, okay? Just briefly, what do you do for a living?
Well, I'm a chef and a small business person
And where's your business located?
and media.
Okay, Delaware County?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And you were present for my representation about purchasing the property, the condition of the property when you purchased it, correct?
Yes.
Okay? And you've been making improvements to the property?
Well, yeah, we make a large improvement on the property because the property was in very bad condition. So all I did is, remodel the inside and make it livable.
And then Joshua had stopped by and you received a letter from him and you
Yes.
submitted this application?
Yes,
Is that
correct.
correct? Okay. And your request to the panel tonight, to the board tonight, is to be able to have a duplex there, correct? And rent the upstairs and downstairs?
That's correct, yes.
And it's your opinion that the size of the real estate being almost 14,000 square feet is sufficient to meet all the needs for people in the 2 units?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I apologize if I missed it, just
Sure.
for the purposes of being complete. Did Mr. Medina adopt your
Yes, I asked him
representations?
that
Okay.
he was present and
Do you want to? We're going to start with board questions and then we'll go to the parties.
So I just had a question. Well, I guess I'll start with, do you have any documents that show that the property has been used as a duplex? Do you have any rental agreements that show that it was occupied as a duplex? Or that it's currently, prior to the
Well,
sale
no.
was?
No, all we have are what the, again, what I saw on Zillow, okay? And
You
what I
don't have
saw-
any of the exhibits? I mean, I can't.
No, I
you-
understand,
you-
it's fine. I do
You should
have,
be presenting those documents to
Well, I
us
gave-
for review.
I'm sorry, I did give a copy of the 2 electric meters. I will mark this as A6, okay?
I-
This is 2 gas meters at the property, okay?
I think I have A4. Yeah, we already have that. I mean,
No, they the electric, these are the gas.
oh, sorry.
property.
Okay.
Okay. All right. And then I believe Mr. Medina has pictures of a mail person delivering mail. Mr. Medina, could you please talk about mail that's been received at the property since you've owned it?
Well, yes, the mailman has been dropping the mail on both doors, front door and the side door.
And whose names are on the mail?
The bottom floor is under David and the side door is under Richard.
And again, I asked for any evidence of that. Do you have any documentation that show that there's
Two photographs. I'm
two
trying to
separate
locate-
mailing addresses?
I don't have that. I just have pictures of the mailman at the two doors delivering mail.
And then another question I have is this I guess it's a resale entry. Where did you receive this from?
Well, I did got it from one of the inspectors when they show up, and he allowed me to take a picture of that paper.
I mean, I can ask Mr. Chas to take a look at it. We've seen other ones in other cases where it's on township letterhead. I don't know if this is a township document, or have you seen this type of document? I mean, typically it's on the township letterhead.
It's
So that looks like a screenshot of what is in our AS400 system. So that's generally what will be put in after somebody applies for a home resale application. And if they mark 2 on the home resale application, that's what's inputted is 2.
Okay, so this is the application, this is from the application of,
It looks like it's a screenshot of the input, but it's assumed
Right.
the information there is from
Yeah.
the application.
so it wasn't a granting of the duplex. It just looks like it's the data entry.
That document, that is correct.
Okay. Okay, any other board questions?
Is there any way that you can validate the fact that there were tenants living there during the tenure of the ownership within the family? Meaning, if there were tenants there, they had to have utilities. Even though there are meters there, that doesn't mean that they were active. So were there utilities during that, I'm sorry, I missed the time frame, up until when Mr. Medina purchased the property. The mail that was coming there, is there any proof of the mail, the actual mail with the first and last name of the tenants that lived there? There's ways of finding out, you know, if you have a name, you can do a Google search and you might come up with the last, is there any proof the last time the individual lived somewhere, which may have been his address? Is there any proof over all those years of anything to that effect?
No, I believe the house was empty for some time, and I'm not sure, you know, and then when I purchased the house, there was nothing left, you know, there was no mail, there was nothing there. I was not receiving mail or have mail in the property from a previous owners or rental.
Okay, so then the property appeared when you purchased it as if it were a duplex based off of what you've seen, how the units were set up, the meters there, but there's no proof that it was legally a duplex, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I would just answer your question also that, you know, that's why I wanted to get the Register of Wills inheritance tax return, because on that you have to identify the properties, okay? And usually you have to submit an appraisal for the property. It's my belief that there was income produced by this property, which may be reported on that return, okay? There may also be an appraisal on that return, which identifies the use of this property.
Mr. Donaghy, with all due respect, I understand your want to produce the documents from the Register of Wills. However, I don't think, unless you believe to the contrary, that any of those documents would represent an official approval by the township that would create a legal duplex in this location, whether it was being used that way and receiving income. But it doesn't sound that there would be any documentation of an action by the township that would allow a duplex in that location, correct?
I just went to my theory
Okay.
of non-conforming use. I didn't know how long, what the most recent zoning for that R2 district is in that neighborhood, when exactly it was codified presently, and did the duplex exist before that date? I just wasn't, that's where my,
Well,
Understood.
and I think for that, you would typically have to have the continued use of it. If you're saying that The property hasn't been used as a duplex for many years.
Your
Even if-
statute says within a year it's abandoned.
Right, even if it was legally non-conforming, it would have to show continuance of that, which it does not appear to.
Before I interrupt your question, I just.
Oh.
needed the photographs of my client.
Okay.
Mark that was A7, A9.
Do we have any board questions? You okay? You can always come back.
I was going to ask, do we have any tax bills or anything like that?
I guess we'll allow the parties to ask questions of this witness. So this isn't a time to make statements or present your own testimony. You would just be asking Mr. Medina questions at this time. So Mr. McCanny, I'm sorry,
Have any questions?
no questions. Mr. Rhodes, Mrs. Rhodes,
No.
and Mr. Smith.
Yes, does he plan to live at the property?
No, he
Mr.
does not
Medina?
plan to
I
live
do
at the
not, I'm
residence,
not
no.
planning to live.
He's not even going to live on the property.
No,
He's
sir.
just going to be an absentee owner for,
He will not. He will be hands-on, sir. He runs a business. He knows how to relate to people, and he intends to, if he would be granted this application, he would be responsive to any and all of your
So
requests.
hold on, it's Mr. Smith's opportunity to just ask questions of Mr.
yeah, I
Medina.
just wanted to verify whether he's going to live there or not.
No, I'm not gonna be living on the property.
Okay. Any follow-up from the board? Okay.
Do you have any other witnesses, or it's just?
No, we
Mr.
do not. Thank you.
Okay.
So,
So I guess the parties, do you have any evidence or anything that you would like to present for your case?
I'll go first, so maybe expedite this a bit. As I indicated before, I'm Michael J. McCaney Jr. I live at 3729 Bonsall Avenue, where I've lived since 1986. With me as parties, protestant are Steve and Peggy Rhodes, who live at, I get their number here. 3704 Bonsall, directly across the street from 3711. They have lived there since 1978. And also with me is Joseph Smith, who with his family has lived at 3726 since 1984. I have with me a written protest in opposition that's been signed by 7 property owners on this block, and there are, I think, 9 properties on this block that, in opposition. I'd like to submit this as
So
an exhibit.
the board's policy on petitions are, we accept them only if the persons who have signed them are present. So if the 3 parties who are here have signed that, we are happy to take it into consideration. But if it's just by non-parties, we will not accept it.
All right, well, just for the edification of the board, the neighbors who object are the Chichamori family at 37.
I'm sorry, we're not going to go through people who aren't
Okay.
here. And because you're not representing them, you can't speak on their behalf.
All right. The history that I am familiar with, and let me begin at the beginning. Mr. and Mrs. Rhodes have been there since 1978. And all that time, they have never observed this property occupied as a duplex. Mr. Smith has lived since 1984, and all that time, he has never observed this property used as a duplex. I have lived there since 1986. I have never observed this property used as a duplex. In 1988, the property was purchased by William and Annie Lois. And in 1989, Bill proposed that the property be used as a duplex, and the neighbors gathered together and opposed it, and it dropped. And it was not done. And we had the involvement of our township councilman at that time. In 2000, Annie predeceased William, who died in 2011, as you've heard from Mr. Dunnigan. The property's been vacant in 2011. There has been nobody living there at all since 2011. The property has been zoned single-family for apparently decades. The zoning is available as public information. The applicant, unfortunately, chose to purchase the property and remodel it to be used as a duplex without investigating the zoning, which means that he has created this hardship on himself. It's a self-imposed hardship. He didn't engage in due diligence to learn the zoning or the position of the neighborhood in regard to having a duplex. There are no duplexes on our block. Our community is well served by multifamily dwellings. We don't want any more. The neighbors on our block have invested their time, energy, and treasure in purchasing, maintaining, and improving their homes in conformance with and in reliance upon the stability of the zoning on our block. I have not heard any evidence of a compelling hardship, in as much it was self-imposed. And the economic concerns we do not feel are sufficient to support a variance. I can ask, if it can speed things up a little, I can ask Mr. and Mrs., or Peggy Pepper.
So we'll let Mr. Medina, I'm assuming that we'll let Mr. Medina and or through Mr. Donaghy ask you any questions.
Sure.
Since you provided factual testimony, as well as the other parties in the board. And then we will, we'll proceed from there.
Are you aware then that the property I represented, 528 Mason, is owned as triplex? I mean, is authorized as a triplex?
528 Mason would be approximately 2 or 3 blocks away from our street.
The end of your street, and then there's a SEPTA right away?
No, the end of our street is Edmonds. You go another block to go to Mason.
Okay, good. All right, good, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, can you please not speak out? I can't hear.
But there is a property at 528 Mason that's a triplex. Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware of that particular number. I'm aware that there are homes in our neighborhood that have been converted into multifamily dwellings, and I can identify them because they don't look like they're loved.
I missed that, I'm sorry, they were asking us to move over here from the microphone.
I will repeat it.
Thank you, Mr. McCain.
I am aware that there are multifamily residences in our neighborhood, which were previously homes, that have been converted to multifamily residences, and if you walk around, you can pick them out, because it's obvious the people who live in them don't own them, because they do not appear to be loved. They're not homes.
Thank you. I don't believe I have any other questions. Thank you.
Mr. Donaghy. Mr. or Mrs. Rhodes or Mr. Smith, do you have any questions for Mr. McKinney?
McCaney.
McKinney, I apologize.
No questions for Mr. McCain.
Thank you. A lot of names going on tonight. I apologize. The board have any questions for Mr. McKinney?
I have none.
No.
Great. Thank you, Mr. McKinney. Mr. Rhodes, Mrs. Rhodes, you're welcome to come up. I would ask that the first question I have of you before you begin your testimony, I believe Mr. McKinney made some statements on your behalf. Would you, related to how long you've lived there or your observations, do you adopt them as your own?
They are correct, yes, sir.
So you can offer any testimony you would like.
Just basically that, being a lifelong Drexel Hill resident, we lived at this residence since 1978, and we raised our family there. The property in question is directly across the street from us. We knew the residents of that property. It's been a rather unusual situation in that you had a big, beautiful home, but hardly anyone ever lived there. There was, when we first moved in, there was an elderly woman and her son. The elderly woman, what's her name? Mrs. Pauline, passed away. Pursuant to her passing away, her son, who perhaps had some psychological issues, was a hermit and subsequently just disappeared. The next time there was a resident at the property, it was Bill and Ani Lois. We met them when they purchased the property, nice people. Got along fine with them. And as long as they lived there, there was never any issues. As Mr. McCaney mentioned, there was a period of time when they desired to convert the property into a duplex unit. The neighbors got together with Bill and Ani, And they understood our objection to it, and as a result, they decided not to. And then after their passing, Bill Lois, who I believe is Steve's brother, was I'm sorry? Steve, I'm sorry. He was basically the caretaker for the property. I would describe him as. He never lived there. He would show up occasionally. He would make sure that the lawn was mowed and things of that nature. But there was never any incidents or any demonstration that he lived there or showed any signs of being interested in living there. And then, of course, when he passed away, we didn't know, what happened to the property subsequently. But as far as what the attorney had to say about it being a duplex, it's never been a duplex for as long as we've lived there. We've had direct on-site view of the property, of the side entrance and the main entrance of the property. Never saw anyone going up there, never saw any families, any people parking, going into the property, whatever. Any signs of life, if you will. So I think that pretty much says everything.
Mr. Rhodes?
Questions?
Well, so we have to ask the other parties, we have to give them the opportunity to ask you questions,
Sure.
okay? So we'll start with Mr. Donaghy.
If I may, thank
Sure.
you for your testimony tonight. All right, it's nice to meet you. Okay.
Meet you.
So I just have a question. It appears that the Recorder of Deeds indicates that Mr. Lois and his wife Amy purchased this property in 1988. It appears that in 1989, according to, if I'm recalling Mr. McKaney's testimony correctly, he indicated that in 1989, there was a duplex that was proposed, and then it was either denied or withdrawn. Do you know if it was denied or withdrawn?
My answer to that question is I can't confirm the year that took place. I can confirm that my wife and I were participants in the meeting
Okay.
with the local councilmen who got together at one of the homes in the area on the block to discuss the matter with Bill and Ani. And they recognized our opposition to it. And the general agreement amongst us all were that they were not going to pursue that.
And then with the side entrance, the way the house is configured when Mr. Medina purchased the property with the
Right.
side entrance, with no access from the ground floor to the second floor, are you familiar with how long the property existed like that?
The property existed like that when we moved there in 1978.
With that side door entrance?
With that side door entrance, I'm not sure the purpose for it, if it was initially meant for Mrs. Pauline's son to live up there. It was a very mysterious situation there as far as, communicating about that. But I know that Bill and Ani never lived upstairs. They never had any friends or relatives living upstairs for the period of time that we've lived there.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. All right,
Mr. Rhodes,
Mr. Rhodes, I'm sorry, Mr. Smith.
you're quite
All
welcome.
right, thank you. Nice to meet you.
So
Nice to meet you.
not to pit you against each other, Mrs. Rhodes, do you have any questions for Mr. Rhodes?
When are we
He-
leaving?
He is
what
under
our
oath,
question
so I'll
is.
give you the opportunity. He's under oath. Mr. S-
Not at all, 45 years is a long time to live seeing the house every day, and you did a beautiful job. But it was never, ever, ever occupied on the second floor as duplex.
Mr. Smith, do you have any questions for Mr. Rhodes? No. Okay. The board?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Rhodes.
You're quite welcome. Thank you for your attention.
So, Mrs. Rhodes, I know you just gave a brief statement. Do you have anything else you'd like to offer?
No, my husband was very accurate.
Are there any questions for Mrs. Rhodes? based on her brief statement.
No, I heard what her statement was, and I appreciate that statement. Thank you.
Mr. Smith? I'm just going through the full process. Does the board have anything for Mrs. Rhodes?
No.
No.
All right. Mr., I'm sorry, do you have anything?
Kaney.
I got your name now. Mr. Smith, would you like to offer any testimony to the board?
Mike?
To come forward. Guess we didn't.
We've been there since 1984, and that house has never been used as a duplex. The escape on the side they're talking about, the stairwell, is we took it to be a fire escape, and that's what Ani and Bill had said that's what it was, so we had no reason to question that. And that's pretty much all. Everything I agree with what Steve and Mike have said.
Mr. Donaghy, any questions?
No, thank you.
Good, thanks.
Mr. Rhodes, Mrs. Rhodes, Mr. Okay, Mr. McKinney?
I have no questions.
Okay, from the board for Mr. Smith?
No.
All right, I think that reaches the end of our testimony.
Okay,
Does the board have anything else they'd like to?
I don't. I was just going to ask for any other public comment, if there's anyone else that isn't a party that has comments on this application. Okay. I guess hearing none. I would make a motion to deny application 2-2 of 23. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. So the appeal is denied.
I appreciate the board for its time, the solicitor, all right, and the staff, okay?
You'll receive a written decision within 45 days. Thank you.
Okay. So we will move on to the next application, which is Appeal 2-3 of 23, application of George Smith for a special exception pursuant to Section 550-17B to permit use of an accessory dwelling unit as an in-law suite. The property is situated at 800 Stanbridge Road in Drexel Hill, PA. It's in the R2 Residential District and in the First Council District.
Before we begin, the board will enter the following exhibits. ZHB 1 will be the application packet. ZHB 2 will be the notice photos, and ZHB 3 will be proof of publication. Before Mr. Smith begins, are there any persons in the audience who are requesting party status for the application for 800 Stanbridge? Seeing none, we can have Mr. Smith sworn, and then he can begin his testimony.
I'm actually Antonio Hayward. I'm his son. I'm his power of attorney.
Oh, go ahead.
My name is Antonio Hayward. I'm his son. I am his power of attorney.
Do you have documentation of the?
I brought it into the zoning office. They said I didn't need to bring it back in. When I came in, when I went to pick up the permits, they were like, I didn't need to bring anything back in, but I'm his power of attorney.
We've been working with him since the beginning.
I have it on my phone. We need to print it out.
Are you able to email it?
Yeah,
Can you email it to Mr. Chast and we'll add it to the,
absolutely.
to the record?
That's not a
So
problem.
we'll mark that as A1, the power of attorney.
No problem.
Is that acceptable to the board?
Yeah, that's fine.
So if you can, I'm sorry for referring to you as Mr. Smith. So if you can state your name and spell your name for the court reporter, and she will swear you in.
Antonio Hayward, Antonio, last name Hayward, Hayward.
Can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Go ahead, you can present
Oh.
your case.
Basically, my father is a 82-year-old 24-year vet. We just bought this property and we went to settlement January 13th. The property downstairs was like a doctor's office, so it had a laboratory area which had cabinetry and all of that. Basically, my mother slipped into a coma in 2021. I've been taking care of her since. We need a property that is one level. I will be able to have a place to live, and then downstairs where I take care of her because I am her caregiver. So they would be downstairs and they need their own kitchen area as well as me living upstairs, leading my own kitchen area. So that's the only thing that I need to do. I need to be able to give them what they need to live like they're used to living, instead of it being a thing where they don't have the things that they need.
We can start with questions. I guess the first question is, how many people are living upstairs? Is it just you, or so one?
That's it. One.
Are you the only driver in the house?
My father drives.
Okay, do you have parking for 2 cars on the?
Oh, it's a driveway. But I'll be parking on the street. I want him to have the driveway because he's much older than me, of course.
And just, I'm gonna walk you through some questions if
Sure.
the board doesn't mind. The first, you did state that this unit for your parents is within your principal dwelling, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And it's limited to your parents who are related to you by blood, adoption, or marriage?
Yes.
Bear with me here.
It's okay.
You have a single-family detached dwelling, right? You're not a twin or a row?
Correct.
Okay. And it's on the first 4 units on the same sewage disposal and water system as your unit?
Everything.
Okay. And there will be only 2 people residing in the first floor unit?
Yes.
And there's plenty of room for 2 people to live there?
1,400 square feet. I think that should be sufficient for them for now.
And you will share the driveway, the
Correct.
existing driveway? All right. Those are the, for the boards and for the records benefit, those are the 7 criteria listed under 550-17B for accessory dwelling special exception standards.
So I guess the only question I have is, the plan is only to use it for your parents and not to rent out this
I
unit
don't even
at
like
all?
people in my house around my mother, period. Where I'm at now is temporary, and I wouldn't even rent those units out while my mother's been there.
Okay.
Because I don't want anyone around her, even though she's still bedridden regardless. And they've actually stopped her physical therapy, they said, because there's not enough space where we're at right now to continue it. That's why we're trying to expedite the situation to be able to get everything remodeled and ready for them to be able to move in.
Okay, that's the only question I had. Any other questions from the board?
No.
Okay. Is there any comment from the public? If anyone has any comments for or against? Okay, hearing none, I will make a motion to approve this application with the condition that it not be rented out at any time. It is not allowed by the zoning code, but I will make it as a condition to the approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
3-0, motion passes.
Thank you.
Approved
Now
to
I gotta
receive a
go.
written decision confirming the vote tonight within 45 days.
Thank you. I gotta go get my mom her medicine. Take care. Thank you.
Good luck.
Okay, so we will move on to,
Just a statement.
so we will move on to the next application, which is, what are we on, 2-4 of 23, application of Grant Dalveen for a variance from section 550-40A to permit an accessory building height of 18 feet where the maximum height of 15 is permitted. The property is situated at 724 Harper Avenue in Drexel Hill, PA. It's in the R2 residential district and in the 3rd council district.
Just before we begin, the board will enter the following exhibits. ZHB1 will be the application packet, ZHB2 will be the notice photos, and ZHB3 will be the proof of publication. Before we begin, is there any person present tonight who wishes to request party status for the application for 724 Harper Avenue? Seeing none, we can, Mr. Delvin, can you state your name for the record, and the court reporter will swear you in?
Sure. It's Grant Devlin, Devlin. think there was a spelling error on that.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Evelyn.
Correct.
Can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give will be truthful, truth, and
I do.
Okay, go ahead and present.
Yes, my name is Grant. I live at 724 Harper Avenue. Reasoning for me being here is to request a
Can you
variance.
just slow down a little bit
Sorry
and
about that.
speak into the mic because it's a little hard to hear?
Sure. The reasoning for me being here is to request a variance to support my new garage build. My existing garage is a 1.5 car garage, 18 feet wide by 20 feet deep. It's about 100 years old and in need of a serious attention. The new garage I'm looking to build will only be 10 feet wide, but the same depth of 20 feet. The variance I'm requesting is in regard to the max height. From what I understand, 15 feet is the max allowable height in Upper Darby Township, standard permittable height. I'm requesting 18 feet, 3 feet above the permittable height, which is about a 16% difference. Not all that much. The reason for the height variance to request a second floor storage area of the garage. So as our house lacks a storage inside. To give you some background, the basement of our house has had its floor refinished by the previous owner. It is now 1 foot higher than it originally was. And for me being 6'2", as tall as I am, I have pulled my back and limbs in the past trying to move things around, whether it be furniture or bins or anything in and out of storage. So it's very difficult for me to move things around the basement. So by allowing a full 8-foot ceiling in the second floor area of the garage, I'll allow me, my family and I to safely move items in and out of storage. I've noticed other homes in the Drexel Hill neighborhood that have what appears from the street taller than standard garages. One that's very close to mine is a 627 Shadeland. I haven't personally measured this garage, but it appears from the street to be much larger than usual. And with at least 2 bays in it, 2 garage bays. These garages don't impact the community in any negative way. Neither will my garage either. These garages in the community do not impact the community negatively. My garage will not either.
Your garage will what?
Will not either. I've attached building plans with my variance request. The foundation states how the concrete will be laid, which I believe is more than adequate to support this garage build. I would also like to note that the garage will incorporate a flat style roof, and that's to minimize the structural overall height. So I think that's all about everything that I have. I'm more than happy to answer any questions.
I don't have any questions. Do you have any questions?
No.
I don't know of any reason. What is the hardship that you're trying to amend?
So we typically use our basement for storing items, whether it's bins, toys, furniture, anything. The basement is lacking space, and for me to move stuff around there, it's difficult for me to do so, being as tall as I am. The basements in our neighborhood are not exactly tall enough for a guy like me. So I pulled my back and limbs in the past by moving heavy items in and out of the basement, being the fact I have to tilt my head like this, and it's awkward for me to do so. So by allowing a second floor storage area on top of the garage, I can stand up as I normally would to move things around.
Would it not be acceptable to dig out the basement and drop it down lower?
Oh, I don't have that kind of money, sir. If I may, the existing garage is about 100 years old. I know that it needs attention anyway. So I figure this is a good opportunity to do so.
Okay. No other board comment. There's no parties, is there any public comment? Anyone that has any comments or concerns about this application? Okay, hearing none. I would make a motion to grant Appeal 2-4 of 23. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Are you opposed or? Okay. So the motion passes 2-1.
Thank you.
You will receive a decision within 45 days. Thank you.
All right, we will move on to the next appeal, Appeal 2-5 of 23, application of Anderson Morello for a variance from Section 550-33A, Table 8-1, for relief from the requirement of 2 off-street parking spaces per dwelling. This property is situated at 338 Maypole Road in Upper Darby, PA. It's in the R3 Residential District and then the 7th Council District.
Board will wow. The board will enter the following exhibits. ZHB1 will be the application packet, ZHB2 will be the notice photos, and ZHB3 will be the proof of publication. Is there anybody present this evening who would like to request party status for the application for 338 Maypole Road? Seeing none, we can have the applicant introduce and spell his name and be sworn in by the court reporter.
Okay. Hello, my name is Anderson Morello. My first name is Anderson. Morello is Morillo.
Can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, you can go ahead and present whatever information you have.
All right, my application is for my garage, right? I'm sorry?
Your application is for what?
My garage, right? I'm trying to make an extra living space. Extra living space because I have 2 kids and my wife living upstairs. And I have my wife's mother is coming to my house. She's gonna retire. And also my younger brother is coming from my country, Dominican Republic. So I'm trying to make at least 2 extra space because the garage is big enough for at least 3 spaces so they can make extra room so they can stay down there. And the opposition is the parking, right? So I have an extra space on the back of the house, and there's also a door that I'm not taking any extra space from the back or anything, so it's only one person that drives is me, and we only have 1 car, and I don't see any opposition on my point. The other neighbors, they also have the parking garage, the parking spot outside the house. And I think that would be all for my end.
Okay, is that, I guess my question is, so you will have 4 adults living there?
Yes, including.
Yourself, your wife, your mother-in-law and
Yes,
brother?
my mother-in-law, yeah.
Do all of those individuals drive?
No, she's elderly. She's 63 years old, and
Does your wife drive?
no,
Does your brother-in-law drive?
no, he just came from my country.
Will he drive once he's here for a while?
It's not on the plans right now.
Okay.
He doesn't have a license over there either here. Maybe in the future he could drive, but we still got, we can
Okay.
park on the street. There's any issue with that.
Is this residence in proximity to public transportation where they don't
Yes.
need to drive?
There's a 69 train station. I don't know if you guys have my documents. I wrote everything down on it. There's a bus stop. It's like 3 or 4 different bus stops around there. 69 is a main station. It's it's close by, you can walk over there. And usually I transport to my job when my wife use the car, so,
So you have one vehicle for the house?
yes, it's only my
And
wife.
where do you park that vehicle?
Behind the house and.
So there's a spot beyond where
Yes,
the
I have
garage is? that
pictures,
you-
but I have them on my phone so I can show you. There's plenty of space for all the cars. The other neighbors, they also park behind the house. And I don't see any
Is it like an alleyway?
alleyway. Yeah, there's an alleyway. And there's also extra space behind the house for the other cars to drive through.
Okay. Okay, Bob?
I was in that alleyway and saw it to be a very narrow alleyway. And I think there was a not hot water,
I'm sorry, I
oil
can't,
heater, an oil.
say it again, I'm sorry.
I was in the alleyway where your property is, and it's a very narrow area where the road is turning to go out.
No, no.
And there was a oil tank that was in the back,
Is it what, I'm sorry, the last
an oil tank.
oil
It's
tank?
in the back where your garage is and door.
Yes, we move all the trash from there that was there, and the oil tank, we also have to move, but still, even with the oil tank,
The process of being removed.
yes. I have pictures of a car parking there, even with the oil tank in it, and it's still plenty of space for the cars to go through. I mean, I have it on my phone. I don't know if you guys allow me to email it to you guys or, so you can see. Okay.
Any other board comments?
And there is an egress in the downstairs to the outside, right? Where you're,
Will you have a door?
Yeah, the door is already there. When I purchased the house, there's a door.
so will not move or be shut off or anything
No,
like that? Great.
everything's gonna stay the same.
And you'll obviously comply with all of the township's building codes and pull any necessary permits.
Say it again, I'm sorry?
You'll comply with the township's building codes and apply for any necessary permits.
Yes, okay, yes.
Is there any other public comment? Okay, hearing none. I will make a motion to grant application 2-5 of 23. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Would you like to make the same stipulation that it can't be used for any rental property?
I would, yeah, I would agree to that amendment. So we will amend the original motion to include a provision that additional living space cannot be rented.
That's fine.
It can only be used for family use.
There's no doors that divides the open now, so
Okay.
it won't be for rental properties.
Sure. Do I have a second on the revised motion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
3-0, motion passes.
Thank you. You'll receive a
Appreciate it.
decision within 45 days.
All right, appreciate it, thank you.
Okay, we will keep moving. We will move on to Appeal 2-6 of 23, application of Aisha Joandad for a variance from Section 550-8, Table 3-1, Note 2, to permit a beauty salon within 300 feet of a neighboring barber shop. This property is situated at 2 Copley Road in Upper Darby, PA. It's in the C3 Commercial District and in the 7th Council District.
So the board will enter the following exhibits. ZHB 1 will be the application packet. ZHB 2 will be the notice photos, and ZHB 3 will be the proof of publication. Mr. Crawford, I presume?
Yes, good evening. I'm Julius Crawford here on behalf of my client, Mr. Hanadad,
Okay.
to my left here.
Thank you. Just before we begin, I'll ask, is there anyone present here tonight who is requesting party status for the application for 2 Copley Road?
There's no
Seeing
one
no-
here presenting party status, but we have, I would say, quite a contingent here in support of this petition.
Okay, thank you. So I see no persons requesting party status. Mr. Crawford, you are welcome to give an opening statement, or you can proceed right to any testimony or evidence you're going to offer. But I would ask that we allow your witnesses to be sworn in before you ask them any questions. So you can proceed.
Excuse me. Well, my client here is the Magball Salon and Party Wear, excuse me, limited liability company. I don't know whether your proceedings require a copy of the articles of incorporation or not. If you do, I have a copy here.
The articles of incorporation for the business?
Yes.
I don't.
Because it was the LLC that made the application as an entity. Ms. Johanna here is, she's simply the owner and the proprietor of the business. This is a project where Ms. Johanna proposes to add onto an existing business at the location in question, which is 2 Copley Place, Unit G12. There was some confusion about the physical address for the location for the client's business. PICO has it registered as 12 Garrett Road. The Delaware County Assessor's Office has it registered as 12 Garrett Road. The sign on the door says 12 Garrett Road, yet frankly, this petition was submitted as 2 Copley unit, because that's how it's referred to in the lease. But in any event, this is a 500 square foot commercial unit on the bottom floor, on the first floor of a mixed unit project owned by the Stonehurst Realty Organization. It's about 500 square feet, and it's currently in use by my client for the sale of retail clothing and some jewelry sales of artifacts aimed particularly at the niche market of women, Southeast Asian women. And what we're here today for is to promote the expansion of this current use. And by the way, we're working under a 1-year lease that was entered into just last month, a 5-year lease entered into last month, and we've been in business about 1 month with regard to the retail sale of clothing and jewelry. Well, we want to expand this to include some beauty salon services, that are tailored to the niche market, as I say, for Southeast Asian women, women who have a desire or an interest for having these services administered by persons who have an interest and an aptitude and a capability for understanding some of the historical cultural fetishes that Southeast Asian women have. And also taking into account the relatively large demographic here in this part of Delaware County of South Asian women. I would like, if I could at this time, to have my client to further expand on her business concept of trying to focus her marketing efforts to Southeast Asian women, if that would be appropriate, or would she need to be sworn in?
She should be sworn in, yes.
Okay, be sworn in.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Can I have your name, please, ma'am?
Sure. My first name is Aisha, AYESHA, and my last name is JAHANDAT, Jahandat.
Now, Ms. Hannadat, could you please explain to the board here, what's the business concept behind the focus on Southeast Asian women with regard to the rendition of your services?
Okay, sure. So, yeah, so I get my cosmetology license, and then I start working with haircuttery, and there I realized, like, it's so hard for, even before that, even it's so hard to find for we have so many, we are hairy. We have a lot of hairs and stuff. So there also we have, I see the people's like, they're so nice, they're friendly, they're fine, but everyone has their specialty. So for our hairs, it's so hard to, it takes forever to cut, curl, dry, and especially the color and all the stuff. And same thing I face when I go to the places. So their haircut, they just like ask one client, the stylist asks to the other stylist asks to the other stylist, like you can take it because it makes sense to me after that when I start working with the hairs. So why they ask, it's different, its styles are different and texture are different, the hairs are different and everything's different too. So after that, I learned and I said, we need a hair salon especially. We do not have, we mostly has just for the eyebrow threading and stuff, but specifically some people go to they go to Addison, New Jersey. But here we are we have 2 gurdwaras, 2 mosques, we have so many peoples here. And all the people, even from the Redner, from the Broomhall, from the Haverford, they come here to get the groceries, the South Asian grocery. But that's why it's kind of hub the Upper Darby. So this is the best place. I realized when I planned everything, then I realized I get the lease and I realized, oh, this last year, I think that you made the change, like something 300 square feet. So the women, they come to me and they are really upset and they're sad, like, oh, you're not doing the hair. Because that time I thought maybe hairing is it's very big deal for me to come here. It's my very first time. So I thought maybe, then I decide for my community, okay, I can go, I can see if I can. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you. Specifically, the personal grooming and beauty services that my client wishes to provide include hairstyling, cuts, haircuts, styling, eyebrow threading, facials, which would include some homemade.
Yes, even especially, facial, we have different, like we mostly use the home remedies and stuff that we have own products like the organic aloe vera, organic honey and stuff, and we make the products and stuff. No one other offered these kind of, and the women's, especially the language barrier and stuff, even me and my friends, they just like, it's so hard to find a person where they're comfortable, and I think every woman has a right to look good, feel good, and go to the places where they feel comfortable and get the services done.
So you're going to be servicing women who basically speak specific languages, South Asian languages?
Yeah,
Could you give us?
Hindi, Urdu is kind of same language, and Punjabi is also other language they speak. So I speak 3 of languages.
But Urdu and Hindu? Urdu, Hindu?
Hindi is a language. Urdu is from Pakistan. Hindi is from India, and Punjabi, both countries speak.
What about
India.
what about Bengali?
Bengalis, yeah, definitely.
Bengali?
I speak Bengali, and my friends, there are a lot of community there, Bengali. And
Okay, so this request for variance is apparently necessary because of the current borough code, the law that prohibits beauty services from being offered from a location within 300 feet from the existing of the targeted salon. We think that our service offerings are sufficiently different from any nearby competition to justify the release requested. I took a stroll down Garrett Road this afternoon and around the block just to get a snapshot of what type of businesses in the beauty supply, the beauty services, personal grooming area. You let me share with you a very amateur artist rendition of what I saw walking down Garrett Road, taking a left on Westchester Pike, and then another right. I attempted to, as best I could, indicate businesses that might be in the same general target market area. And what I found, to the extent that I understand this and could reflect this in my drawings, if you look at the fork at the wishbone part, you see that my client's location is marked by the word MACBOL, MAQBOL, with the X with the circle around it. Right next door, right adjacent to my client's location, is a nail place called Jens. In fact, it shares a common wall. And I think that that's the primary offending business that causes us to be here this evening. Although, as I read the docket sheet, there's a reference to a barber shop that is across the street on Garrett Road. In fact, this barber shop is called Men's BB Shop. There, in fact, on the window, it will say specifically Men's Barber. Men's, catering just to men, apparently. I don't know whether that is the business that prompted the denial, the initial denial, causing us to have to be here this evening or not. But with regard to the nail place, my client can tell you in her own words the sum and substance of conversations that she has had with the owner of that business. Aisha?
Yeah, the nail salon actually.
Slow down, slow down.
I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. Okay. So I even had her signatures here on my petition, and she's the one who's like, when I looking for the shop, she's the one who showed me the shop, and he said I can start. And she said the people's come for the nails and they ask her for the hairs and stuff and the facials, and she, especially for the South Asians, and she's the one who convinced me to open a shop. When I'm looking for she said, this is the best place, I'm next to you, and you can open the shop here. So she's totally fine. So.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
But she isn't here this evening. She didn't show up this evening?
No, she's busy. She's over
Okay.
here. She has a client.
All right, thank you.
I have her address, phone number, and her sign.
I see. With regard to the barber shop, the only barber shop that I could find in the area in my survey was a men's barber shop across the street, across Garrett Road, and probably about 200 to 300 feet straight up on the other side of the street. I don't know if that was the offending shop that causes us to be here or not, but in any event, my client has I don't think she has any near-term marketing desires to cut men's hair. I think she's interested in women, just women. Am I correct? Which is not to say that you wouldn't, that you turn me down if I wanted a haircut. Is it? No, just kidding. So here we are. We're asked to be in compliance of a law, and I'm not altogether certain that we're out of compliance. With regard to the nail shop next door, we're not doing nails.
Yep.
It's not in your charter.
Yep.
You're not doing, with regard to the barber shop across the street, we're not cutting men's hair. So to the extent that the underlying policy reason for the ordinance is to monitor competition, there's no competition here. So with that, I would just like to ask my client if she would have any closing comments for the board.
Not actually. I just that's all I said already. If they have any questions, they can ask me.
Yes.
So I have one question, and I think you kind of you just referenced it with the barber shop. So can you just explain how your shop would tailor to a different clientele that couldn't necessarily go to a barber shop?
Okay, so he just said like it's written the men's shop, something like that. So I'm only serving for the women's.
Okay.
So even me, I prefer to go where just the women's, serve for the women's, and we are more comfortable. It's a cultural thing or something. So that's why I prefer to, if the barbershop, I just like wrap my hair and stuff. I wait to find a woman. If I able to, or maybe if I afford to go to the Addison or somewhere else where the South Asian community, they have a women's salon and stuff. So I go there. So same thing with my community, the other women, for Bengali, Pakistani, and Indian, same thing with us.
Thank you.
Did you look at other locations for your shop that weren't in close proximity to other salons and barber shops? Or does this location provide a particular convenience to the community that you serve?
Yes, because we have a mosque and our like worship places all at all the grocery stores in Upper Darby, certain this area 69. So definitely, and people walk in, a lot of women, they not drive, they live on Long Lane, they live on 69, they live surrounding area. So it's easy for them to just walk in and they just come and get the services done.
And if you were further out or in a different location, they might not have the same access to
No,
your.
definitely not. Then they have to, I told you, like a lot of women, they are not driving. So it's hard for them to go to there and stuff because they live in Upper Darby. Mostly people live in Upper Darby and they come in Upper Darby. So that's why.
Thank you.
And so finally, could I, if I might, ask everyone who has come here this evening in support of this application, I hope they stayed. Could you please stand?
So pretty much half of the room.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That concludes our presentation.
We have a couple more questions here from the
Wow,
board
what
members.
support. That's all I want to say. But if I appreciate having salons, hair salons that cater to different types of hair. And so my question to you is, because I've been through that experience, and not to be discriminating, if someone like me with hair like mine came into your shop, would you service me?
I love to service, but it depends if she like, everyone has specialty.
Yes.
If I'm able to do it, I love to do it. But like the facials, I can give to everyone. I'm most welcome, even I'm
Okay,
happy.
your other
But here's
services.
everyone, if they
Yeah.
like if they come, they like my services, they want to come back, most welcome.
Right. No, I totally understand. Besides, I just wanted the board to hear that answer because I totally understand and get it. Okay.
Okay. I guess we know that half of the room is supportive. Is there anyone else here for this application for or against?
We'll note for the record that there's I would say about 24 people in the gallery that stood in support of the application.
As a business owner, and we're.
Well,
I'm
if you-
sorry.
you
hold
can
on,
come
just
up-
one
you
sec.
can come
Did
up.
we- did we call for public comment?
I just,
Sorry.
yeah.
James Santora. I live at 5228 Apache Lane, but my business is right here at 152 Garrett Road, 2 blocks from the property. And as a fellow business owner in the township, I love seeing new small businesses open. And when you can make accommodations for them, when it's possible and not hurting other businesses, it's great. I think it benefits our township. And I hope that you support this application, and I wish you the best.
Thank you so much.
Okay. I guess is there any other public comment? Okay, hearing none, I would make a motion to approve application 2-6 of 23. Do I have a second? All those in favor? Aye. 3-0, motion passes.
And you'll receive a written decision within 45 days. Good luck.
Thank you.
Exactly.
You girls are just angry for me.
All right.
Okay, we will,
Do we have the missing easel? We can use that, but Josh is going to grab an easel too, if that's easier. So we'll just like. All right, get out, get out, get out, get out. Hey, thank God.
Like, where's the best spot?
Oh, just make sense. It's not long.
Okay, so I guess we will, Bridget, you ready? Okay. We will move on to Appeal 2-7 of 23. Application of A&W Development LLC for variance from Section 550-8 to permit a warehouse in the C1 Commercial District, a variance from Section 550-20 to permit a side yard setback of less than 15 feet.
Yeah, let's close it.
Yeah, let's.
For Bridget's benefit alone. The rest of us could suffer, but I'm not doing it to Bridget. They're very excited. I don't blame them.
Yeah. Okay, we'll start again. I'm not going to start from the beginning, but I'll start from where I started or end it. To permit a rear yard setback of less than 25 feet and to permit impervious coverage of more than 80%. A variance from Section 550-21E2C to permit a refuge area of less than 50 feet from the street right-of-way. A variance from Section 550-33D14 to permit less than 100 feet separation between driveways. A variance from Section 550-33D15 to permit a driveway setback from the street center line of less than 50 feet. A variance from Section 550-33D20A to permit less than the 10-foot planting strip width requirement along all property lines. A variance from 550-33D21A to permit parking in the front of the building. A variance from 550-39D6 to allow chain link fence in front yard. A variance from Section 550-49B1 to permit less than 10 feet buffer width in a residential district. This property is situated at 160 Garrett Road in Upper Darby, PA. It's in the C1 Commercial District and in the 7th Council District.
Okay, Mr. Robinson, I presume?
Yes, Mike Robinson, Fox Rothschild, on behalf of the applicant.
So we'll mark the following exhibits. ZHB1 will be the application packet. ZHB2 will be the notice photos, and ZHB3 will be the proof of publication. I'm going to ask, is there anybody here tonight who will be requesting party status? Could you please come forward? Do you have your form filled out? Okay. So, Mr. Robinson, if you wouldn't mind letting our resident use the microphone, would you please come to the microphone for just a second? Ms. Kosha?
Yes,
Welcome. So 7216 Brent.
Brent, right.
Where is that in location to this property?
So Garrett Road goes this way, and that the property is right in front of Garrett. And there's two streets, Kelvin and Brent, who lead up to that property. And I'm on Brent Road. There's, the other side of that is Long Lane, and there's 3 apartment buildings. And then I'm on Brent Road, near the apartment buildings. Jean, Jean, Kosha, Kosha. You're welcome.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Mr. Robinson, do you have any objection to Ms. Kosha's inclusion as a party?
Question first, what's the approximate distance of the
A
property?
block away.
A block. No
I
objection.
walk past it every day.
Fair enough. No objection then.
You're certainly probably about 1/10 of a mile at most. I would recommend that we recognize Ms. Kosha as a party.
I would agree with that.
So we'll call on you when it's time. So Mr. Robinson, you can proceed with your case in chief.
First, point of clarification for the board. The applicant met with the township and made some minor changes to the site plan. We have it here today to submit. We'll withdraw 2 requests for variances on the agenda. E, variance for section 550-21E2C to permit a refuse area. The refuse area is going to be moved inside now, so that's not going to be necessary. And then J, variance for section 550-39D6 to allow chain link fence in the front yard. After consultation with the township, the fence along Garrett Road and Walnut will be a decorative fence. It will not be a chain link fence. There will be a chain link fence along Shelburne, but that is not a front yard. So that variance will also not be necessary here.
Mr. Chess, does the township agree with that determination that that's not a front yard?
I believe so. You can only have 2 front yards, and I believe there's 3 that face onto the street, so one of those would have to be.
That's correct. And my witness, Mr. Lardy, will clarify the dimensions, the streets and all that. So you'll get a better picture of it there. But this was after consultation with the township.
Thank you.
So I'll give a brief introduction and I'll let my witnesses do the talking. That will help the board more. I want to thank the board for hearing us today. As the board is aware and as the recitation shows, the applicant does seek a number of variances. 1 use variance and the rest are minor dimensional variances. All are fairly simple and all are designed to and in fact necessary to facilitate the development of the property for reasonable use by the applicant. By way of a little bit of background here, the adjoining property houses A&E Construction, which is a general contractor that does quite a bit of work in the area. The owners of A&E Construction own the adjacent parcel, this entity that owns the parcel that is at issue here, as well as the parcel across Walnut Street. They are exemplary Upper Darby citizens. Not only do they run a family business that employs dozens of residents and does many construction projects in the area, they also have improved these parcels as they've been there, have come before this board for approvals to approve other properties as well, and really have done a lot of good in the area. And this is, again, aimed to do the same. What the applicant proposes here through these variances is to construct an indoor storage, which is essentially a shop building on this property. It's currently being used as outdoor storage. If you drive by the property, you can see there's trucks there, there's certain materials that are being stored there. Essentially what this would do is, this variance, at least as far as use goes, would be to put 4 walls and a roof on top of a lot of the storage. It should go almost without saying that this would be an aesthetic improvement, but the remaining plans for construction would also be an aesthetic improvement. There will be landscaping, there will be paving, there will be decorative fence, there's going to be a new facade for the building. Overall, really just a lot of positives that are being requested here. These variances are the minimum variances necessary to reasonably use this property by constructing an indoor storage facility of a reasonable size that could facilitate what's necessary to be done here. It will not negatively impact the character of the neighborhood and certainly will not impact the public welfare. In fact, as part of this development plan, the tenant, A&E Construction on the adjoining parcel, which again is owned by the same individuals that own this entity, will be using this new building as their shop indoor storage area. Currently, they're using the parcel that they own across Walnut Street for that. If this application is approved, the plan is to sell that parcel across the street for development into apartments, which again would help the character of the neighborhood, bring more residents in, as well as giving an aesthetic facelift to the property across the street. So these are all tied together. And again, the use variance and the dimensional variances here are not requesting a complete overhaul of this property, are not requesting a use that would be out of place or out of character with the neighborhood. Again, it's just a building that's going to be used for indoor storage. With that, I'll call my first witness, Jamie Santora, who is working on the development with the applicant. I do. And if I may, we have another exhibit, so I guess it would be exhibit 4.
Or it would be applicants 1.
Applicant 1, okay. Okay, I got it. I have copies for the board. May I approach?
Yes. Thanks. You want to mark this collectively as A1? Okay, thank you.
The third page of this is this blown up exhibit, but we can mark that as a separate exhibit. If it's easier to. But Mr. Lawson.
Whatever your preference.
Okay, and then I'll allow Mr. Santora to present based on the exhibit.
The first page is just the posting of the zoning signs. And they're still there. We did not have to replace any over the time period.
Thank you.
The second page gives you an overview of the property on the corner as well as the property next door, which we recently completed I think, a really nice renovation. And then the third page shows the overlay with the new building on it. And then the next page blows it up a little, just so you can get a feel for where everything would lay out compared to what's there now. And then I'll get into the actual property. It's going to have designated parking. It's going to have area for the storage. Right now, it's a non-conforming use, existing non-conforming. And as Mr. Robinson said, we're trying to bring the majority of it inside and have a lot of it removed. Some of it still has to be on site. Our construction company utilizes it, and it's important for our business to be able to have access to our shop because we do our training, our superintendents all come in. We employ about 100 people out of this office. So moving forward, I apologize, but I'm not the best at the renderings, but we did what we could for now before spending a lot of money on renderings and everything else. But I wanted to show you. The aluminum fence you see there, if you know the A&E property at all, it's the same fence that's in front of that, would go in front, the entire red line that you see there. And then the yellow would be the existing fence that you see. And the neighbors behind us at one point asked us to put in the slats, the privacy slats, because they did not want to look into the yard. And we would keep that. We would, of course, keep that. And then the wall, the back wall, would be the privacy from there. The next picture gives you an idea. It's a split face block, just like our building is over at A&E. We're trying to match the colors, the gray, the black, with the black doors. Put landscaping up front, landscaping beds matching what we have. Now, my pictures of my arborvitaes aren't the greatest, but as I said, I did my best. The second picture of the building is the Walnut Street side. We do want to keep that access. There's already a driveway there, and we'd like to be able to access the side for deliveries and things of that nature. And then the rear, we want to keep that plain and simple, landscaped, but open, no fence behind, closing in the wall. It collects trash, unfortunately. We actually have 2 laborers that come in every single Monday. If it's raining Monday, they come Tuesday, and they clean the entire property. In the past, it was a problem, and we made the investment to make sure that someone comes by. We put trash cans out for the neighbors on the Sampson Street side. We had conversations with them. We allow them to park there at night. We're trying to be good neighbors. And we have other developments that we've done, 1740 South State Road, the Furnius Dialysis Center. That's one of our buildings. We've improved that over the years. We've improved 41 South Union, where the self-storage is, put some landscaping in there, and we're continually trying to find the right uses for these things. And we're all residents here in Upper Darby, so we want to, improve our town. That's basic summary. Okay.
Okay. Is
Any
that-
questions? I'm
Oh, is
sorry.
it, yeah, is that the end of his testimony?
That's mine, yes.
Okay. I don't have any questions.
Just one quick question, Jamie. Did you require any additional curb cuts to come in?
We have what is there as a curb cut. We probably will go for, and Josh, I'm sorry, you used the word certification that's viable, or the one on Garrett Road?
For the HOP?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's an actual depression there, and however, we're not using it as the entrance now. The entrance is off of Walnut now. So we will most likely have to apply for an HOP. The Walnut side will get taken down a lot smaller. Right now, there's the majority of the street is the curb cut.
What is the height?
It's going to be 20, I had it. I want to say 22 feet. It's within the height allowed in that C3 district.
Any, Greg?
I know you're asking for a variance from the planting strip, but is everything that's shown on green on this demonstrative exhibit up here on the easel, is that all planted area, that's green area?
Yeah, right now, there's nothing. Right now, it's all paved area. We're going to be bringing green space into it.
And have you spoken to any of the neighbors?
We have not. They've been pretty vocal in the past that they wanted to see it improved. We had neighborhood meetings, and we told them, one step at a time, and now we're ready to be able to take this step now that we've improved the property next door.
And just so just for the boards, on the renderings, and I know you said they're
my ability on PowerPoint.
So Garrett Road will have 6 large doors, but they're on the parking lot.
That's
approximately.
Yeah,
estimation.
it could have 6 doors, it could have 3 doors. It's just, we have not, once we hire an architect, we're going to figure it out. We want to get the best usage out of it from being able to load trucks inside and be able to deliver tools. And that's what we store. I don't want to necessarily say everything that we store in there, but
I'll be more general. The Garrett Road side will be a series of bays for access.
Correct.
One access point on Walnut, a larger access point probably, and then Shelbourne will be planted.
Correct.
There won't be any access points on the Shelbourne
no, we
side.
want to keep Shelbourne as private as possible for the residents behind.
And there's no variance for parking on site, right? You have all the parking you need.
We have the parking we need.
Okay.
I actually had a follow-up question. So, I think you may have talked about this. So looking at the aerial photo that you provided, there is a lot of construction materials. The intent is to move those into the building.
Some of it will be in the building and some of it will be removed altogether.
Okay.
There will be some outdoor storage we have generators that can't fit in the building that are on back of wheels, larger trucks. So, and then there will be sometimes we will have to, we drop a job, it gets picked up, it gets brought out. But if it's too big for the building, it will be put in the yard neatly in the area that would be designated for that, not in the parking spots.
Yeah, so that's the area, I guess, to the right of the.
Correct.
On the one drawing, it's to the right of the building,
Yes,
not in the green space.
not in the green space.
I have a question around I thought I heard you say the Garrett roadside would have the black big doors, I guess the bays.
Yes.
So what would be done because I know your site and come down there almost every day. What would be done for the safety of pedestrians? Because people walk along that and you have the fencing up. So now this becomes a space where trucks or whatever comes through there. How would the safety component, what would it look like?
There will still be an entrance off of Walnut. And the majority of the time, they'll come out of the site off of Walnut.
Okay.
Yeah, and one thing I do want to be clear is there's no additional traffic It's the same amount of trucks that we own now. We have 2 drivers and a shop foreman. So nothing changes in that way. We're not adding crew. We're actually, condensing the space, but it'll actually, I think it'll be more beneficial ultimately. This is our yard now, so I don't see any type of increase in volume.
Okay, so I don't know how I'm assuming at the end of the day, maybe the beginning of the day is when you would have, when your trucks are going out to jobs and coming back in from jobs, because you know how the intersection is on
Yeah.
Walnut. I usually go across the tracks, bang left, but then you have the other lane that actually turns left onto Garrett. So I just was thinking about the safety of, because people are always walking.
Oh, no, I know. My
Yeah.
office is right on Garrett Road, so.
Yeah, so people are always walking. I just wondered what type of safety, I know they'll get used to seeing it,
Mhm.
trucks coming in, but I was wondering about traffic backing up for those who are going across the tracks, banging a left turn. Is there a safety, I don't know,
The trucks are coming in and out now, and as I said, I don't think it will change anything more. They're coming off of Walnut now. The majority of the time, they'll be coming off of Walnut. I have to have the Garrett Road entrance, just because of flow. But the majority of the time, I would think they would use Walnut. Now, that being said, the majority of the time, they're gone by 7 a.m. So when the kids are walking to school, they're already out on the road. They could be up in North Jersey, they can be in King of Prussia. We do a lot of jobs in Delaware County. However, they get serviced directly. They'll bring them, but it's the jobs that are further away that our guys have to deliver to.
So it's not a heavy fleet?
It's not a heavy fleet, no, not at all. And as I said, there's 3 vehicles that park there because it's our 2 drivers and our shop foreman. But otherwise, everybody else from the company parks in the 152 Garrett Road parking lot.
And I think you also did say the Walnut Street entrance or exit was actually condensing.
Yes.
So that will help because it'll be more controlled at one spot as opposed to a larger entrance where you would have more conflict with
Yeah, right now-
residents or with pedestrians.
Yeah. And what else is beneficial is the building across the street where we have our shop on the first floor of the building across the street. You literally, it's on the sidewalk. I don't know if you can see it on the 3rd page, I believe it is. 4th page. You can see the corner of the building, all right? So picture one of those is the garage bay. So that's right now, they're backing into that garage bay, loading the trucks and pulling out. This will actually improve safety because that will no longer be happening.
When you say across the street, you're not.
Across Walnut.
On the other side, so you're saying you are currently in that building?
Yeah, we own this building over here currently.
Okay, so it used to be the old Worldwide.
The Dumphy, no, Worldwide is actually the
next one.
the grocery, yep. Dumphy Buick, the 3-story.
Yes, okay, gotcha.
Any other questions from the board?
Where's the dumpster going to be?
Inside,
Inside the building?
inside the building, yes.
And the access that the trucks to collect the refuge and get it out of there?
They'll open one of the garage doors and be able to take it right out. And what we do is when we have dumpster pickups, we know the times, so we arrange it with the dumpster company. And one of our guys can put it right outside the door, it'll get dumped, and then it'll get brought back in. That's what our shop foreman does.
And the green area that you had here on your presentation, you say that was going to be your arborvitae's. How tall are they going to, or how big are they going to be?
The ones that we put in next door is what we're gonna match, and I think they started at 4 feet and they're already close to 6.
Okay.
They grow fast.
Do they create a blind spot, so to speak, when the trucks are trying to come in and out?
No, they won't block. They'll be up against the building.
Thank you. It'll be a big positive.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a really nice improvement. We're excited about it.
Been years, but I really look forward to this.
Yeah.
Jean, do you have any comments for the?
I do. I have comments.
Well, this
Yeah,
is-
yeah, well,
this is
you're gonna
questions.
questions, excuse me, questions for
Yeah, I do.
Mr. Sin. If you can come up to the mic.
So, I guess the first question I have is, well, I have so many questions, but is it just going to be one story? You're saying
It's-
20
well,
feet? so it's-
Technically, yes, but there will be a mezzanine. It's basically a metal mezzanine for tool storage.
So what does that mean? How high is it going to go?
20.
I mean, if you compare
I
it,
believe is what we're proposing.
is it, you said it's going to be as high as the houses in the neighborhood, so is it going to be like a two-story house? Like, is it going to be that tall?
Actually, I think it's probably a little less than what the houses across the street are, because you go up and then 2 stories. So at 22 feet, I don't think they're that high. I don't know that. I don't want to say something wrong, but I believe they may be a little taller than that.
Okay. I have so many things to ask. Do you have plans to include the neighbors in the design? And are you open to changing the design based upon what neighbors might have for concerns?
Give us the concerns, and then we can have dialogue back and forth at the planning stage, yes.
So I think part of it is like, I just read the signs. You can see everyone's gone. There's no one here because people don't know. They don't necessarily stop and read those notices. Like I missed the one about turning the apartments or turning that building into apartments. And I think I would have preferred so much more that you tried to reach out to the community and talk to people. Maybe you're waiting to do that, I don't know. But it's a central part of the neighborhood. It is a huge walking area and we have a lot of pedestrians, a lot of neighbors. And when I heard warehouse, I was like, this is not a warehouse. It's already, all right. So I guess I'm not supposed to comment, right? I'm just supposed to
Right,
question.
it's questions.
Let me go back to questioning.
If I may clarify, I don't mean to interrupt you, and Mr. Lardy will speak to this as well. Warehouse is the best category of use here. It's not really going to be a warehouse, it's a shop building. It's not going to be we're not going to store a million things in there. There's going to be tools, there's going to be deliveries and things like that. Unfortunately, the zoning code has only certain uses that you can apply under, and warehouse was the one that we applied under.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. Have you considered other sites for being able to do something like this that would be more of an industrial site versus a neighborhood residential area, commercial?
The issue is if we don't do this, it's going to remain outdoor storage in an existing non-conforming use.
Do you have plans for, like you talked about the arborvitae vitae growing very tall, we've seen that with the library. And do you have plans for, or have you, there's a couple questions in that. Do you have plans for how you deal with that as they grow? Because they do get very large and, that's an issue.
We have a maintenance company. The company that handles our properties is Spader Landscaping. Those are just, all of our bays are sprinklered. We would do the same thing here. They come out, they maintain the property, they do a winter cleanup, a fall cleanup, or not, I'm sorry, a fall cleanup, a spring cleanup, and then if necessary, they'll come back out during the year. We have a maintenance program with them. They plant annuals as well. So we are trying to definitely improve the neighborhood, not detain from it.
Okay.
Am I being picked up? I'm sorry.
You're fine.
All right, so another question I had was in terms of the fence, if you would be open, because I have noticed that the fence you have in front is a very beautiful fence as compared to the chain link fence, which, yes, I understand that in the past neighbors talked about because they didn't want to have to see things. That's because it's a junkyard, looks like a junkyard. So nobody wants to have to look at that. But at the same time, having a fenced area that is beautiful, if what you're seeing on the other side of the fence is also beautiful, would add to the neighborhood versus a chain link fence. That's just in my opinion. I have other things I want to say. I'm just trying to look and see if
Take your time.
my
We're
other
good.
questions. I'll probably just do it in my commentary.
And we welcome you to come sit down and talk with us if you want to bring other neighbors.
Yeah,
We
I think,
welcome it.
I think that would be great. I think that would help to, I guess, being able to have the neighbors have input into what their neighborhood looks like versus just, this is what we're going to put here or what we're going to do. So thank you.
Understood.
Jamie, I do have one other question. Will there be any heat in this building or
I'm sorry, Bob, I can't
any
hear.
heat or cooling?
Yes, heat, there'll be a small little office, the shop office in there, that'll have the cooling. There'll be heat and then there'll be fans, but I don't believe we'll put cooling in the shop area.
Or ventilation?
Yeah, some ventilation, of course.
Thank you.
Right. I think this witness can be excused.
Yeah, thank you.
Good?
You're good.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next and final witness will be Mike Lardy. He is a project manager with Landcor who's been assisting the applicant with the development plans, prepared this exhibit, and he's going to give some more detail on the specific variances.
Okay.
Sure. I do, yes. Michael, last name Lardy, Lardi.
Sorry about that.
That's fine. Well, frankly, I don't really have much to add. I think Jamie and Mike did a great job of walking us through the plan. I'm willing to take questions, but I think everything was summarized very succinctly and not much more clearly than I could myself. I think maybe it's in everybody's best interest if I open it up to you for questions, if there are any.
I don't have any questions. Yep. Do you have any questions? Yeah, you can make your statements next. So it sounds like there's no other questions. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
We thank the board.
So when I first saw this, it did raise concerns for me because a warehouse, this is a residential area. It's also a commercial area. But warehouse, just the connotation of it or putting in a storage facility or whatever is really concerning. This property, I don't know if you guys realize, but like back in the day when this neighborhood was developed, that was actually a miniature golf course. So when they built the neighborhood on this side of Garrett Road, they packed everybody really tight. It's all row homes, it's very tight. There's no green space, there's no open space. There's no neighborhood. The kids play on Shelburne Road on the other side of that fence in the street. Cars sometimes go down there fast. Motorcycles are spinning around there all the time. There is not one green space in this neighborhood. And I see this big open piece of property and it makes me feel really bad because I know you're trying to do better, but honestly, it looks like a junkyard. And I work at the library across the street, so every day I walk past this at least twice a day. I'm glad that they're trying to do better, but I think we can do even more. I wonder why perhaps the building across the street from Walnut couldn't be used as storage space and turn that, since it's already, 2-3-story building, couldn't that be converted somehow instead of into apartments to again add to the number of people in this very tightly packed community? What if we did better and turned that into a storage facility and Bay Area for all the equipment and made that little property on the corner that's, the open junkyard, turn that into a park. Right now, the kids who come to the library, who I work with a lot, sorry, I get emotional about this. They run around the library. There's hardly any green space around the library, but that's what they use for a park. So having a warehouse there, even though it's like taking all the junk and, putting it, hidden away under these bays and putting a little bit of green space there, it sounds like a good idea. And maybe it is, the best idea for how to make this work. But as a person who's been living here for the last 12, 13 years and seeing this every day and knowing that here is one space where there's like open air, there's a lot of kids, this could be an open green space that would be wonderful for the community. In the meantime, if we don't have a choice, I don't know if we do, I'm glad that you want to meet with the neighborhood because I think that would be amazing to get their input. As much green space as possible would be wonderful, even along Garrett Road. Again, it's a high pedestrian area. And if you see everybody in the summer walking with their, either carrying sacks of laundry to go do at the laundry mart or wheeling their laundry, and it's hot and it's 90 degrees and it's humid, having some shade trees along this property would be really nice. The sidewalk itself, I hope gets changed because it's all at a slant because it was previously I think a car dealership, like again, back in the day. And so everything is slanted. So if you're walking in the winter when it's icy and snowy, it's very slippery. And it always concerns me. The last couple of years, you've been better about putting down salt, which I really appreciate. Although for the environment, we know that's not good either. So I don't know. Can't win. You cannot win. Huh? You don't use, so you use other stuff? Good, thank you, I appreciate that. Let's see. So yeah, I worried about, again, the openness. I hope it's gonna be as low as possible so it doesn't cut things out and make it feel, even more congested. I talked about the fence already. I would love to see that the backside be as beautiful a fence as the front side. I'm just going to run through my notes real quick. All right. You said it's not out of character for the neighborhood, but I would argue that if you're there after 5, you will see that the neighborhood is like lots of kids playing and lots of, not like an industrial site. I think that's all I have to say. I would really hope that you would be open to what neighbors have to say and actually have a larger discussion with neighbors instead of, getting all the variances and then, we're stuck with what we're stuck with. Thank you. I appreciate you listening.
Okay. You have any, no comments? Any board questions for?
Can I just say one thing?
Okay.
Just for your understanding, there's a planning portion of this that has to take place as well. And a lot of the discussions that you want to have, which we, as I said, will invite the neighbors in prior to that planning, but a lot of that gets addressed at that meeting.
Okay. Is there any close or nothing? Okay. There's no one else here for public comment. So I guess, I do hear your concerns. This is a commercial property. I think the use, this is bettering the use that's already in service right now. It will clean up the site, and I think it will make the neighborhood actually look nicer. I understand your concerns for public park areas, but I think that's kind of outside of this process. That would be something where, the township itself or the council would look at, getting more green space. So I don't think that's in our kind of jurisdiction here. So I will make a motion to approve Appeal 2-7 of 23. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Thank you. So that concludes all our hearings. I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.